Welcome to today's afternoon coffee and talk. So officially now I've been doing this routine for like 2 weeks. This wake up at 6, stream, get going, get to the gym, stream, eat, stream, gym, stream, eat, stream. Yo, thank you for the like. Been doing this now, and it seems to be working out fairly well. Just kicked my ass in the gym, had a really good leg workout. Got that done in like 40 minutes or whatever, and like I kicked my ass, you know? I didn't like hold back at all, which I think is good. But my legs like stay sore through like the whole week, you know what I mean? It's like from Monday to Monday, my legs are like sore, basically. I think a lot of it has to do from just like sitting down in my computer chair for a lot, you know what I mean? Like for a long time, like sitting there in that spot. I think it like confines my legs to just like, you know what I mean? Like being like this, like in a wheelchair kind of state, and it's just like not moving around on them or whatever, like makes it so they like hurt. You know what I mean? Just like they're not like getting moved around like all the time. Something about just like sitting in that position for like 5 or 6 hours a day. But yeah, I had a pretty good gym stream actually, surprisingly. Hopefully they could all be like that, you know what I mean, in the future, and they were for some time in the past, right? But I keep thinking maybe I'll make a video, but it's just like, it's like so much work to like dedicate some time to just like filming and editing. It's like I have all the software, I should do it more, you know? And it's just the matter of like, I feel like getting in the rhythm of that. It's like the initial dedication of like a full week to just editing and like filming or something, I feel like is the hardest step, because it's like as soon as you get into a rhythm with anything, you can sort of just like flow state with it, you know? But just getting into like the very first video where you edit is very difficult. But I got my cappuccino, small cappy for the night train a coming. Got to a new boss in Elden Ring. Biggs was with me when we did that. It's like Black Malekith Knight or something like that. I've gotten to where I'm now like in the top 40% of everybody who's played Elden Ring. Like if you click on Steam and you like load the program and you click on Elden Ring, it'll tell you how many people have like made it so far, right? And it's like only 40% of the players that have ever played Elden Ring have made it as far as I am now. Or something like that. It might be lower now, because I just beat another boss. But man, that's like, you know, just like follow some guide to a T kind of thing. Like the game takes dedication. It's like definitely has a grind aspect to it, where it's like, yeah, you gotta like go through the process and like make sure to try to like spread your wings in every direction. Otherwise, when you get to the place where you need to fly, like you won't be able to take off, you know? It's like you're gonna be there and you're gonna have baby wings, but you're gonna be a full-grown turkey, right? And you're just gonna be like, get your head blown off or something. So there's that, but haven't really been listening to much music lately because I just like I'm doing the streamer life, you know what I mean? So it's like the interaction with the screen actually keeps me going. It used to be much more of this like motivational experience to like have music playing and try to like build off of it and like reach some point in the song while I was like doing things periodically throughout the day. But now it's like this rhetoric, this self-talk, this idea of improvement, this continual treat. Maybe sometimes I can say something sweet, you know, and it's like my ears can eat, I can feed myself, you know, and filter things from the air. I'm like a tree, kind of, you know, so to speak, gather the sun and plant roots through my feet. So, you know, eventually I think everything can relate to everything. So to compare myself to a tree might not be like too radical, but I don't know, maybe it is. Maybe so many people are stuck in the idea of being held in by their body. But what are they if they can't necessarily go to say that, you know, there's connection with something beyond their spirit, their brain? Are they far or near it? Or to think so, are you insane, kind of thing? You know, am I further or am I closer to the truth? And am I further or closer to pain? Is pain the truth? Is pain actually like the same thing over and over again? You know, if we were to reach the pinnacle of creation, would it be just, you know, exhilaration, like a breath of fresh air? But in a sense, maybe we're solid. We have no more air. Maybe the air of man is being in between all these things. We can say that we're something, but change year after year after year after year. You like the coffee shop streams? Give you your undivided attention? Yeah. Yep, man, I always do. That gym stream was pretty good though. Like, it motivates me. It motivates me to like, I go and check the screen, you know what I mean? And I see who's said something, and I reply back. I got that mic set up so it's like you can hear my voice clear while I'm in the gym, you know? But it motivates me though. It motivates me to be able to like speak to people while I'm there and stuff. And actually this stream is gonna probably like, I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to do this stream for because my phone just brought up the like 20% battery sign, you know? It's telling me, it's like warning me, it's like I'm about to die. It's telling me, so. But yeah. I like the coffee stream too. You know, I like it more if I can come up with something good to say. You know, maybe I just need to like practice some like sort of like soul prayer, some sort of mantra, some sort of like statement, some mission, some goal, some constitutional aspect, you know, where I come into the coffee shop and every time I reiterate these words over and over and over again until it's like they're written into my hand. You know, it's how my tongue feeds, it's the direction I go, it's how I push through rain, sleet, and snow. Am I Rudolph? Well, we're nowhere near the North Pole. I'm in the desert with a lot of LDS folks, though. But yeah. Did God know Adam and Eve would sin? The whole Bible is a contradiction. You know what I mean? In my opinion, the Bible is a contradiction. Like anyone who's ever read the whole Bible, like I have. I've read a lot of religious texts. I've read some of like the Quran. I've read some of like the Torah or whatever. I've read like Hindu stuff. Lots of different things. Like I've read like Swedish, like Norse Viking things. I've read up on like Catholic stuff, and there's like hidden books of scripture that I've read. But if you actually read the Bible, like, I think the Bible is like contradictory, because the Bible in some parts like tells you to kill for God, but then it tells you thou shalt not kill. You know what I mean? The Bible has like a sense of like having black and white right next to each other. That's how like contrasting it is. It's almost crazy. It's almost ludicrous. You know, you have to definitely like be able to if you ever read that book, you better be able to like extrapolate information and like sort of be able to manage risk associated with it. You know, how much should I actually take this into my real life and real world? Because if we look at the Bible and it talks about Adam and Eve, it says like God commanded Adam to like reproduce, but God also commanded Adam to not eat of the fruit of the tree of good and evil or whatever, right? So it's like he gave them a contradiction. He told them not to and to at the same time. It's like quantum mechanics. Like when you actually take quantum mechanics, it tells you things exist in like two spaces at once. Basically, that's what quantum mechanics says. Like if anyone who ever takes it, it's like things exist in like a state of like happening and not happening. The biggest example is like Schrodinger's cat or whatever, where it's like they say like is the cat dead or alive inside the box? But the moment you open it up, it's like, you know, it's like it kills the cat or something like that. So you can't ever know if it's like dead or alive in the box. There's a better way to say that, but so anyways, I like to look at it as like, maybe I think man is like the devil. Here's how I look at it, okay? I think man is like the devil. Man is fallen. Man, it's like, what if all the angels were representative of like all the life forms on earth? There were different angels representing different things. And I'm just making this up because why not? You know what I mean? Like, who cares? I'm making it up, all right? So what if there were like a bunch of animals that were like, those are like the different angels. But man himself is like God's first angel kind of thing or whatever. It's like man is like the Lucifer or whatever. That's what man is. And so the thing is when we were with God, it's like our decisions were one and the same. But as soon as we're like not in God's grace or whatever, when we're not all-knowing, because man isn't all-knowing, like we're not. It's obvious. Like you can't handle that much information. It's pretty basic stuff, you know? So it's like then we're fallen and we no longer have like the decision of God or whatever. We can't do whatever we want. It's as simple as that. Like you can't do whatever you want anymore, you know, which is like the idea of like not having choice. But that's like man is in a fallen state. And we're like, life is just like this, idea of continually trying to like grow in all these directions. So eventually maybe we can reach a place where we said we had like every decision, you know what I mean, kind of thing. So it's like out of time, in time, but it's like just going like this. Does every adult have the ability to write a children's book? No, I don't think so. I write children's books. I wrote one a little bit ago. It's called like, it was about this kid and a bunch of giants. Or I told that story the other day about the little light bringer. Did you guys remember that story? I was like, I just made that up. I could tell you two children's stories right now. It's like, there was one where this kid, and he was like, grew up in the land of giants. And every day he would watch the giants and observe them. And they would take a stone and they would carry it to these vast complex machines and roll the stone down this complex like marble device. And while the stone rolled, the giants would grow. And the kid said, why can't I grow like a giant? So he had a plan. One day he was going to go and sneak into a bush and try to become like a giant. And he had a plan of disguising himself like a rock. So he went and hid in a bush. And then the next morning before the giants came out, he went and stood where all the rocks were and got himself in a ball. And he had clothes on that made him look like a stone. So one of the giants came and picked him up and he went and ran like through the maze as the giant put him in the maze. But for some reason, he still couldn't grow, but he seemed like he was running all day, and it just wasn't the same. And he thought, the giants, they must know, but they came from a long ways away, over the horizon even. And so he went and ran on the giants' machines all day, wondering why it was that he couldn't grow, and he ran. And in the very end, he fell asleep though. And he fell asleep and got picked up by one of these giants. And he woke up, but then he had to go to school. And he hurried down and he ran and tried to do everything as fast as he could because he was working on this project, Perpetual Motion, a perpetual motion machine. And he wanted to get home from school so he could work on it. And eventually, somebody told him that perpetual motion was impossible, an impossibility. And he said, only the giants know, and that's the end. So he fell asleep but woke up in reality, and he was working on something, but he knew that the answer was over the horizon. It was somehow in sleep, in his dreams, the idea that we come from something and go somewhere else. Perpetual motion exists. It's just a really long process. And the other story I had was the little Lightbringer, where there was these cosmic gods, these cosmic deities. They all surrounded the universe, the universal spring. It was this vast place of chaos and all these things misshapen and unheard of and never before seen. And all the gods surrounded it, and they would talk about it every day. But the little Lightbringer, he seemed to never have anything to say, and nobody ever heard him, it seemed like. But he listened to every one of the gods. And every time, after every day, he would go home and paint a little bit of the picture that he saw. And one day, he completed the whole picture of all the gods in their places. And he went back to the cosmic spring, and he couldn't find one god. There was none to be seen. And so he wondered, where is everybody? So he walked back to his place where he had his painting, and eventually he started hearing names. And it was the names of all the gods that he knew, that he painted of. But eventually got closer to the painting, and he couldn't hear them anymore. He wondered where they were. So he walked back again, and he could hear them once more. And eventually the little Lightbringer found out that he was the center of their lore. And he continued to watch them forevermore, as he was the universal spring that listened to everything. So he was the thing that they were all talking about. But at the same point in time, it was like he was a child in growth in his old age. And he eventually made up and rewrote every page and ended up back in the beginning, guys. Those are some children's stories that I just came up with, like, in the last week, basically. But no, I don't think everybody can write a children's book. I mean, they can try. Maybe everyone can, though. And why not? You know what I mean? Maybe everyone can do everything. If everyone is everything, then maybe everybody can do everything, you know? Maybe they just have to, like, try. Maybe all you have to do is try. And then whether or not you accept your effort is up to you, so. But there's my 2 children's stories or whatever. The Globetrotters are in town today, guys. They're in Salt Lake City. My nephews are going to the Globetrotters. But Biggs, if you want to write a children's book, man, go for it. Everyone can. Everyone can write a book, man. I believe. Yeah. What else, guys? What else? I wonder if I'm gonna get sick of coffee. Just coming here twice a day, you know? I kind of feel like maybe I will. Maybe I'll have to get a different drink. Yeah, guys, yeah. Maybe I'll get back into painting again. I'll show you guys like some painting. Maybe I'll do like, instead of trying to do like spoken word stuff, you know, maybe I'll get back into like putting the camera on and just like, we can like paint something together, you know? We can like try to like create something. We can like try to like draw something from nothing, see what comes from the unshapen lands, the imagination. The Imagisphere. Do I believe in lost talent? Like, have you ever created something spectacular and then didn't pursue it further, leaving you to think back about how great it was? Yeah, I always think about, like, you know what I mean? Like maybe making mistakes and like not doing something that I should have kept doing, right? I think everybody has a fear of missing out. You know, FOMO or whatever, right? But I kind of like to think like if you try your best, like you try your most at like whatever it is that you try hardest at, like your soul will be able to express itself in the end. It's like the expression of your soul was just like pushing at the seams, you know, and it's like eventually when you like explode or whatever, it's like you're gonna touch upon everything that you reach the potential to be. So I kind of think, like, I understand that from like a human perspective, you know what I mean? Like, totally understandable. Like, what if I did something wrong? What if I missed out on something? What if I should go back and like do something different? But I think that ultimately, if you just believe in yourself and like believe that you actually gave your best effort in life, you know, and like didn't hold back. I feel like if you feel like you didn't hold back and like you really tried to like do something, that eventually your soul will be satisfied. And I think that's the biggest thing that any of us can ever like search for anyways, you know, is like if our soul is like satisfied. It's like, as they say when you're like talking about ghosts and stuff, right? And it's like the ghost had like business still to do on earth or whatever, you know, like somehow like to be able to move on, you just have to like make sure. I don't necessarily know if it's like one thing that you have to work on or some talent or some gift or something like that, but as long as you can feel like you gave it your best effort, you know? That's what I think, at least. You know, this is all just stuff I think, guys. Like, eventually at some point in time, like, you got to think about this stuff, you know? Like, no one's gonna tell you. No one's gonna tell you. You gotta like figure out like, what do you think about life? What do you think about death? What do you think about like all these other situations that can happen? You know, time and like nothingness. Like it's just me like trying to like come up with something to say. But I'm like trying. I'm like, you know, attempting to say something about it. Attempting to see if I have like an opinion on it. Or like, you know, what do I really think? Maybe it is something that I sort of feel like I know, but actually like, what do I really think about it? So I think it's important, like, to try to understand these things. You know, I think it'll help lead to a more comfortable life. You know, when you've like expressed yourself and you've gotten to the place where it's like, you know what you believe and you know where the edge of the road is, so to speak. You know where the edge is. You know, you've like created boundaries for yourself, and like boundaries and ideas. And you can like check one worry off the list, one more worry off the list, you know, you don't have to think about it again. You've like already thought about it, you've already tackled it, you've already, you know, met that journey head on. You know, and then if it ever goes anywhere, if it ever leads to something, you can, you know, go back to that place and maybe like it'll help you in your beginning, your start on the adventure. So a lot of places come from the perspective that you're not supposed to question. You're not supposed to think even, you know, but I think it's really sad to feel like, I think what thinking actually really allows is it gives you an excuse. I think it's really sad if you don't have an excuse for all this stuff in the world. You know, like if you're like a victim of it, don't be a victim of life. Like, Learn how to think and learn how to like, you know, come up with the idea that you're something independent like of all this stuff or completely a part of it somehow. So it's like there's no way of losing, you know what I mean? Like the more you can think, there's less of ways, there's less ways you can lose, because you either connect with everything or you think of yourself as something which is never ending. What is something you don't have the answer to? Like what boggles your mind? Listen, a lot of this stuff I'm just making up. Like I'm not going to tell everyone like I'm getting divine, whatever. It's just like, I mean, but I have like written like 30 books or journals or whatever, and it's just like I stopped knowing what to do with them anymore, so I started giving them away. I started like taking them to like take a book, leave a book things, and like I have books all over the world. I have books in like Greece and Rome and like all these other places where I just was like traveling there, and I just like left a book in like a bookshelf, you know what I mean? But it's just like has like thoughts like this inside of it, you know. But I mean, I feel like there is an answer for everything, actually, you know? Except for this. I feel like the soul, for it to be, this is what I concluded to. It was like, the soul doesn't quite feel like the soul unless it has like something unknown to it. The minute you like start to say, but see, I don't think you can understand everything. Like, it's just the sheer, like I accept it. I accept that I can't know everything, right? It doesn't necessarily boggle my mind, so to speak. It's just, like, I just accept it. I just accept that I don't know everything. But I definitely try to, like, understand as much as I can. Or I try to come up with an answer that makes sense. And it's all based upon my vocabulary, you know? It's like, do I think the younger you are, the more impressive in life? Yeah, sometimes I feel like that. It's like I'm not 21 anymore. You know what I mean? Like that's weird to say. It's like my prime is like over or whatever. You know? Like I definitely feel that way. My brother doesn't think so. He's like, "Oh, do you have your whole career ahead of you?" But I'm like, you know, is it really though? Like, is it really anymore? Like, is it uphill or downhill from here on out? You know what I mean? But there is like some understandable like aspect of like don't give into like the depression ever, you know. But I do kind of feel that way. It's like, yeah, like I'm not 21, like you know, like running around everywhere like when I was, you know. But yeah, my brother says, he's like, what are you talking about 21? He's like, 30s is like all about your career and like all this other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, all right. But see, he's like graduated from Notre Dame with like an MBA and like all this other stuff. And I'm just like, here I come, YouTube. I'm gonna do it, you know. Watch out. But I got my fingers crossed though, and I definitely like work, you know. So work at things. Yeah, human beings, everybody's frail, you guys. Like, don't let anybody like deceive you, you know what I mean? Like, in somewhere inside all souls, there's like an essence of fear. It's like nobody really knows what's going on, and nobody really knows like the solution to problems. It's like everything's just an abstraction of like everything, you know? It's like you can come up with all these sort of like perspectives of life built upon some sort of perception of things, you know, whether it's mathematics or science or all these other things, but ultimately everything is derived from the same thing or whatever. And it's just like everything's an abstraction from solidity. Like everything at one point in time was just one thing, I think. So it's like the idea that there's even two is kind of like impossible, you know, but so you might as well like abstract yourself into any form of reasoning. You know, hopefully it's like a conducive form of reasoning, but I don't think that you can almost be incorrect. Is hustling the opposite to relaxing? You know what? Like, I changed my definition on meditation as I kind of got older. I was like, I feel like this could be like meditation. Like people just think it's like just sitting in like in an uncomfortable position with your hands in an uncomfortable way, like trying to chase your thoughts away. But ultimately, I came to like the realization like meditation is like driving in your car. It's like, think about that. Like it almost looks like a meditative pose. Like, you know, considering all these things, like maybe we are just like our soul is transporting and we just sit there and meditate through the whole thing. Maybe technology is something which always exists and it's just a continual awakening of like experience. You know, maybe there is no such thing as history. Maybe there is no such thing as future. It's just a continual awakening into different perspectives of things, right? Who knows? I don't think anybody, if anybody tells you that they know an answer to that, I would definitely take what they say with a grain of salt. Like, not to say not to take mine with, because that's a very extreme viewpoint. It's very philosophical. It's very much like anti-truth, kind of. Like there is no truth, you know? Like the world is whatever it wants to be. It's like a thing that's continually being shaped based upon like perspective. But so I came up with this idea that like meditation was like being so involved in something that you just like, your focus just becomes like unreal, you know? So like, is it your hustle? See, all of a sudden you add a different tone to it and you like add some like possessive noun to it or whatever. Is it your hustle? Because you might be chilling through your hustle, man. You know? And I gotta like use some different words here so we're not just hearing the same words over and over, which allows us to come at something from a different perspective and like acknowledge change and be able to like contradict ourselves. I feel like you can contradict yourself because, you know, you have two sides to yourself. You have two sides. You are a contradiction. You know, you are. You live and you die. That's a contradiction. Anybody that says like, oh, you're contradicting yourself, like, of course, don't take this to the extreme, you know what I mean? But you can say like, people are living contradictions because we live and we die. That's a contradiction. Technically, life and death is. You know what I mean? So to talk about contradictions and like say something contradicting isn't necessarily like untrue. But again, you have to be careful when you're like talking to people and like with a rational mindset in this world. And not everybody has like the time to speak this way, but everybody's in a different experience. Maybe you're in another experience and you're learning how to like approach yourself and approach something dangerous. Like I said before, maybe this one thing that we can all be is something that we should fear, which is like death. We should fear it. Maybe, you know, we really should fear it. Yeah, I get that. I understand what you're saying. It's like very fast thought for sure. It's like, where is that coming from, you know? Where are those thoughts coming from? It's like your internal code. You know, that's where people do compare life to the Matrix. They're like, we just run off of a biological code. It's like all the information within us is basically what tells us what to do. It's like we are like programs and the sun is like the CPU or something. A lot of people do believe that in philosophy. But like, if you run around saying stuff like that, people are gonna call you crazy. But in a philosophy class, you can say a lot of things and it's appropriate. But just kind of be warned a little bit, like going around and telling everybody that, it probably will get you in trouble. You know, people are just gonna be like, yeah, you're schizophrenic or whatever. Saying like the sun is like a processor and like everybody's a program kind of thing. But hey, people believe in like Jesus Christ and stuff too, so you know, like the majority of the world believes in a guy who can like walk on water and like perform miracles and all this other stuff. So is it really that crazy to say like you're like a code or whatever, like a computer code, you know? I don't know. Just be careful. This is like radical conversation, you know? It's gotten me in trouble. The reason I say be careful is because it's literally gotten me in trouble with the cops. Like I'm like guys, like everything is one. You like you don't have to work. Like, you know, it's just the idea of like you can work like in your own way, and it's gonna like allow you to function as something which is a part of the system. Like if something doesn't make a lot of sense, you don't have to do it. If something doesn't make sense to you in this world, you don't have to do it. And it's like, so I don't have to do stuff that doesn't make sense to me. If it makes sense to me, then yes, I will. You know what I mean? But if things aren't making sense, I'm not gonna do it. And it's like, I went on a massive protest, you know, for a while. And it's like, I got in trouble. That's why I kind of say like warnings, like, yeah, like if you're gonna think like this, make sure you have a space set up for yourself where you can like go through these thoughts on, you know what I mean? Kind of thing. And I'm not saying it's wrong to believe in Jesus. I'm just giving that as an example because it's like 90% of the world, it seems like, does. I guess not really, because it's like, what, like 40% is like Muslim, 40% is like, I don't know, Christianity might be like actually like a minority, or like some form of like Taoism or something like that. And then you have like Hindu, like a lot of other stuff, but maybe Christianity is a minority. But in America, at least, like a lot of people do. I mean, look at the election. That was like mostly Christians. And don't get me wrong, I've read the Bible and I've like read a lot of other Christian books and stuff like that. I think it's good to have an idea of like virtue, and I think Jesus definitely does that. You know what I mean? It's like very extreme, but I think it still provides people with a light. You know what I mean? It's like a light, and it's like a story that's survived for like thousands of years. So it's like a testament unto itself, basically, if I had to say something, you know what I mean? But I believe in kind of what I believe, but again, this is like very radical, extreme stuff, so. But anyways, guys, my coffee's gone. Biggs, it's been a pleasure. As always, you kept the conversation going, you kept it rolling. Hopefully my answers and my position on things were like something that was understandable, you know? Have I ever been to the bank and seen that contraption where you be in the drive-thru and then send that container to them inside? Yeah, it's like air jet things. Yeah, you like put it in the tube and you push the button and it like shoots through the thing. Yeah, they actually closed them down in my local town. They like closed all those down, and now it's like you have to go in. You either have to go in or you just go to the ATM. For some reason, I guess they just figured that it's like the machine can do all the business now, so you don't even have to go see a person. It's just like, why are you seeing a person? Go to the ATM or come inside. So yeah, but my town closed all those down. But anyways, guys, thanks for the comments. Thanks for joining. Thanks, Biggs. But yeah, I'm gonna go. I gotta eat dinner. Maybe I'll do some research. Well, do I think we can make cars that move on air? They have cars that can move on air. They're called hovercraft. Look them up on YouTube. If you go onto YouTube and you type in hovercraft, you'll see they have cars that have giant blowers underneath them. And they have like these skirts that surround them, and they can like move across water, and they move across all terrain. They're called hovercrafts. So yeah, they exist. But I think the real thing, when we have like levitation, perhaps in the future, it's gonna be like with like electromagnets and like semiconductors and stuff like that. But do they have vehicles? Yeah, they're not like something for like personal use. It's like military. I think the military has them because it's like you can like go over landmines and all this, and over water and like all this stuff. So yeah, if you look up like hovercraft on YouTube, you'll see them. You drive in them like a vehicle. They can only hover like inches off the ground or whatever, but they don't touch the ground. They just use air. But I'm gonna go, man. I gotta go and eat. Have some dinner. But it's been good, guys. 40 minutes. We got it. I'm surprised my phone didn't die. Yeah, no problem. I'll see you, man. Bye.